today I'm installing something on the Jeep that I'm kind of excited about. So it's winter time here, and I'm up in North Idaho. It's up near Canada, for reference, for those of you that don't know. And we've been getting cold weather lately. It's turning to winter, obviously. I'm actually installing a way to preheat the Jeep before I leave for work in the morning. I do use my Jeep as a daily driver, and I don't commute that far, so that's just another reason I want it to be preheated, because not letting it warm up fully before turning it off again is actually kind of hard on the engine. And so what I've got today to install is a oil pan engine preheater, a block heater, whatever you want to call it. And so it's just this tiny little pad, right? And you plug it in and it will warm up the Jeep. And I know it's a tiny little pad, but it's supposed to heat up to 195 degrees, about operating temperature, right? And because it's on the oil pan, that will be heating up the oil pan. Standard practice, a lot of people will go outside, and I've done this for years as well. Early in the mornings, go out, preheat the car, turn it on, leave it running for 10, 15 minutes, come back out, and it's warm and ready to go. There's a couple things with that I don't really want to introduce to my Jeep. One of them is that it is actually harder on your Jeep to start with a colder engine. It's harder on the engine itself because the oil is so much thicker. It is a lot harder to pump that oil up into the system. And something I've noticed these few cold mornings we've had here is that it makes a nasty tick sound. And it's a Jeep. I'm coming up on 230,000 miles. It is a 4.0, so I would hope it lasts longer, a lot longer than what I'm currently at. Heating up that oil and getting it warm and thinning it out a little bit as it's warm will help it lubricate faster when I start it in the mornings. The other thing is that, starting the engine up, preheating it, that's burning a lot of gas, and gas is expensive right now. So that's another benefit to heating it up. It has a sticky back. You take that sticky back off, stick it to the oil pan. So first I'm going to clean the oil pan off really well. I've got some engine degreaser. I'll also probably clean it off with something like rubbing alcohol. You can also use like brake cleaner, because it does have actually rubbing alcohol in it, isopropyl alcohol, whatever you want to call it, in the brake cleaner. And so clean it off really good. Make a good surface for this to stick to. Stick it up there. Route this cord away from anything moving, any moving parts. I may go up along the frame or body of this Jeep. It's a unibody, right? And then I'm going to tuck it out in front of my front bumper, because I've got a winch bumper, so I can kind of hide the plug up there under the winch bumper. And then plug it up. The other thing that I'm going to do, which I think is kind of unique to this, because I don't have to wake up and push any kind of start button. I'm waking up about 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning to head to work. And it's also, for this thing at least, it's going to take, 4 to 5 hours to heat up the engine. So what I've got is a smart plug. And this is something that, if you have home automation system, something like a Google Home, Amazon Alexa, whatever it is, you can get these and set it up. You can set it up on a schedule, which is really awesome. Like, my first thought was I can manually plug it in, leave it in plugged in all night. That's going to take extra electricity, and it's going to take more electricity than I need it to. I don't need it warm all night long. I just need it warm before I go to work. And so with this, I can actually set schedules. I can also set voice commands. I can also turn it on with my phone. So this will be really cool for me to program this in. I can simply say, hey Google, turn on the Jeep heater, or hey Google, preheat my Jeep, and it will turn it on. I'm also going to be setting a schedule. I think I'll probably set it for 5 hours. I can program that time into this only on the weekdays. I don't go to work on the weekends, right? So by installing this on the Jeep, I can avoid some of that wear and tear on the engine, and hopefully prolong the life of the engine even further. Alright, I've got a good flat spot on my oil pan cleaned off right here. And I've got some zip ties so I can secure the cabling. Good. One thing, if you are doing this, make sure you leave some slack in the cable, because if you're flexing, right, you're off-roading, you get some flex, you need slack in your cable so you're not ripping the cable and the device off of the oil pan, just like you would have slack in your brake lines, right? So we've got a spot there. cleaned up on the oil pan, if you can see. And I'm actually just gonna place this, thinking, I'm just gonna set it kind of like right there. Really good. I didn't want to put it on the very bottom. I felt like the bottom of the oil pan was a higher risk of being ripped off. And then put a little RTV around it, seal it off good. And there we go. Got it stuck to the oil pan, sealed around with that RTV. Got a little service loop here for any flex in the suspension. Hopefully it doesn't bind anywhere. Got it zip tied to the frame there. And then it comes out right inside my little winch bumper right here. So we'll plug it in and see what kind of results we get tomorrow morning. That is it. Alright, it's the next morning. The heater has been plugged in all night. We actually got some snow last night. It is a bit cold out here. It's time for the moment of truth right now though. So if you can see right here, I've got what's called a thermocouple. It's a temperature sensor, and I taped it to the side of the oil pan while this was running overnight, so I can basically, what I can do here, my multimeter here, you can see that. We'll plug this guy in. And then it tells me the temperature, so it looks like, let's see if you can see, looks like it's like 18 degrees Celsius, which that is, what is that, like 65 degrees or so. So not running temperature, but definitely a lot warmer than freezing what it is out here. So here's something funny. My door handle is frozen. You can see there's ice built up on it. I can't quite push it, so that's how cold it is this morning. Oh, that's better. Cold mornings. So maybe not as warm as I thought it would be, but definitely warmer than the outside temperature. Basically, it's like I'm starting this up in the summertime, right? 65 degrees. It will reduce that wear while starting the motor. Let's turn this on. So 65 degrees. It's not quite running temperature like I was hoping it would be. Right, you can see temperature gauge is down. But let's start it up. Everything's looking good. Started up good. No weird noises as I start up, considering how cold it is out there, which is great.